General Medicaid warning. The views expressed in
5 plus
5-ish minute lore, the lore delivered in rants, are sanctioned by their scholar Pergenium as excess-rageous. Prolonged exposure can result in loss of IQ, high blood pressure, random outbursts, and blunt force trauma to the skull, resulting in unconsciousness. Please consult your local physician for more information.
Catachan Private, Sly Marbo. When asked what the most horrific abomination in the universe is, any and all members of the Imperial Guard will shudder for fear of Sly Marbo hearing their response. When asked to what entity the Emperor of Man prays, even the most fervent preacher of the Imperial cult will sheepishly admit, Sly Marbo. When asked what, if anything, the Chaos Gods themselves fear, well, a Nurglite will deflate with a pitiful groan, a Cornate will shriek and whimper like a kicked dog, a Slaaneshi will become visibly turned off, and a Zinchian will nervously bluff, not Sly Marbo.
You don't seem to want to accept the fact that you're dealing with an expert in guerrilla warfare. With a man who's the best.
In 40K, there's always something more insanely overpowered than what you just saw a few seconds ago. Not in this case, though, because today we talk about the singular being that renders that statement completely invalid. If I told you the most powerful thing in 40K wasn't one of the Chaos Gods, or Eldar Farseer, or even the Emperor himself, you'd probably sit up in your chair and be ready to attempt to match the seething inferno of my rage. Well, sit down, bucko, because I'm talking about Sly Marbo, the Chuck Norris, the abridged Alucard,
Michael doesn't exist,
and the Kratos of the 40K universe. Sly Marbo was a guardsman private who has been in the lore since before there was a Horus heresy, since before the squats were murdered. Sly Marbo is one of those characters from the old lore 40K, before 40K really came into its own and was still jokey in its approach. It was a deliberate play on Rambo, with the name Sly being Sylvester Stallone's nickname. Sly Marbo came into being as a special character within the Catachan Devils. This was about the same time as Inquisitor Obi-Wan Sherlock Clouseau. Yeah, that far back. The difference is that while characters like Obi-Wan Sherlock Clouseau has vanished into the ether, Sly Marbo didn't. Why? It's simple. You don't retcon Sly Marbo. Sly Marbo retcons you. Sly Marbo's origin story is that he was born on Catachan, and that's all that is really known for certain. In fact, the only one that knows is his colonel, Troutman. Legend has it he had 9 brothers who were all inducted into the Catachan 12th. When they were deployed to Ryza, all 9 of his brothers were killed, and Sly Marbo went for a walk. 2 weeks later, Sly returned with the war boss's head clenched in his fist. Enjoying his brisk walk, he had gone on a slaughtering spree and murdered the war boss with a single shot between the eyes. This became something of a fucking statement with him, and I can break down Sly Marbo's career mathematically. Insert destination here plus evil asshole doing asshole things multiplied by asshole henchman times Marbo equals the remaining enemy soldiers. You can do this formula yourself. By the way, Marbo equals 0. Sly Marbo is based off 80s action movie characters, and every 80s action movie character has rules. Sly Marbo follows this rule set to the extreme. Rule number 1, kill them with the most basic weapons possible. Rule number 2, cool guys don't look at explosions. And rule number 3, always be found either sitting on a pile of corpses or carrying the head of the enemy leader. Sly Marbo is considered ridiculously built, the size of a small orc, and has eyes that even Space Marine captains won't meet. He sticks to the shadows as if he'll melt in the light, and has the emotional range of a pet rock with a frown drawn on it. He is basically a god of stealth and guerrilla warfare, and he has fought all over the galaxy and massacred everything from Eldar to Tau to Necrons and of course orcs. In a universe where there are chaos sorcerers who can summon plagues, orc war bosses who can marshal a green tide of muscles and guns, and Eldar who can literally warp reality, a guardsman private with a knife and a ripper pistol seems hilariously outmatched. Not Sly Marbo. Sly Marbo is a proverbial nutshot to the enemies of man. Just to give a general idea of the lethality of Marbo, we have to make a statement here that will seem completely outrageous. In the current state of the 42nd millennium, if you were to put together a list of the people living responsible for the most death and the destruction, you'd see names like Abaddon, Gilliman, Kryptman, Typhus, Eldrad. Somewhere in that list, alongside Chaos War leaders leading entire armies, an Inquisitor that has popped an entire sector of populated planets, an Eldar Farseer who invented one of the most powerful Orc war bosses known to history, as well as a fucking Primarch, you would find a single, lone, Imperial Guardsman private with a knife and gun, Sly Marbo. Sly Marbo's second major campaign of note was the Drukhari attack on Galabad. The horror that happened on that planet was written about by almost half the major historians that lived. To say the planet of Galabad was aptly named is an understatement. This was until Sly Marbo was activated and went for a walk on Galabad. No one knows what happened and Sly isn't talking about it, but when Colonel Trapman arrived, he found Sly Marbo standing in a field surrounded by burnt-out wrecks, piles of Drukhari corpses, and signs that a war like no other had been recently fought. The leader of the Drukhari had been decapitated, with Sly standing in front of the spike that held its head. You think that's insane? Okay, how about this? How about the time he used a ration tin to murder an entire command post of Xenos? Or how he wiped out an entire Tau convoy single-handedly? No, that's not insane enough for you? How about this? How about the time he killed a Bane Lord Titan? And for those of you who don't know, a Bane Lord is the Chaos equivalent of a Warlord Titan, which is devoted purely to Khorne. Let this sink in. Let me make it more clear. Sly Marbo attacked a Chaos Titan devoted to the Blood Guard that was infested with Khornite demons and cultists, and not only lived, he took the Titan down. You'd be hard-pressed to find a Space Marine chapter that can claim that. When Sebastian Yark was directing the forces of Armageddon, Marbo decided to take a walk and see the sights in one of Armageddon's Hive's industrial wastelands. There were bodies. Lots of bodies. The Imperial experts sent to check out the site predicted that to cause the amount of devastation Marbo had unleashed, you'd need at least a dozen elite assassins from the Officio Assassinorum. And considering the way that things were done, Eversor. And at some point, I need to explain Eversor to you people. I don't know what else you wanted me to say about a guy who finds peace and relaxation from hunting tyrannid lictors for sport. Yes, I said he hunts tyrannid lictors for sport. That's not a joke. During the 13th Temper Tantrum, Black Crusade, Guardsmen scouts kept finding entire camps and convoys obliterated and abandoned. No one knew what to make of it, and soon everyone in the region was paranoid, not knowing what was going on. After all, if you knew there was a bunch of cultists and traitor space marines in the area, then they all just suddenly got wrecked and or disappeared, and the only thing you found was a bunch of shell cases and bodies, and you saw this repeatedly, you'd begin to wonder what was happening too. It just turned out that Sly Marbo had visited Cadia and was going on enthusiastic walks through the countryside. This is just a short list of the things that he has done. In fact, if even half the stories about Sly Marbo are in any way accurate, he'd have more medals than an Imperial War Master, which, considering every single one of them would have been won for actions conducted alone, is flat out insane. He has been awarded the Star of Terra, which is the highest honor of the Imperium, so many times that to receive it has become boring. The Star of Terra is like the Medal of Honor, on crack! In fact, so ridiculous is Marbo's legend that he has garnered a list of stories that if someone is caught repeating those stories in certain regiments, they are immediately reassigned to Gunner Specialist Grade 1 for plasma weapons, because it pisses everybody off to hear this crap over and over again. When Sly Marbo is not taking walks through the countryside where someone is doing horrible shit, he is usually standing in the shadows and brooding, like 90s rock music. His war gear is a knife and a gun. That's about it. Give the man his orders, and with a simple nod, he'll go out and lace up his boots and get ready to go for a walk. Marbo's tactics rely on ambush and psychology, using whatever comes to hand and turning it into a lethal weapon. He will capture enemy equipment and turn it into explosives. And when he is ready to attack, the attack is so overwhelming that enemy commanders have been convinced they were under attack from entire armies. Everything he has fought, from Eldar Farseers to Tau Ethereals, has found themselves trying not to panic as their forces become unraveled, trying to figure out exactly what in the fuck is happening to them. So because I know some of you heretics are out there listening to this Voxcast, I'm gonna help you out, because regardless of what I say, Sly Marbo is near your dead anyway. Here are some clues if you're in an area where Sly Marbo has decided to take a walk. Clue number A, entire patrols vanish into thin air. Clue number B, the supply depot containing your favorite blankie becomes a flash on the horizon. Clue number C, you find a command bunker where everyone is smiling, but the smile is on their throat. Clue number D, the area around you that was filled with people is slowly getting quieter. And of course, clue number E. What the fuck is happening?